Welcome to Franchise Canada Chats, the podcast that takes you inside the world of Canadian franchising. I'm Renée Budakian, founder and CEO of Rubicon Franchise Partners, and your host for Season 9. This season, we're going beyond the business model to uncover the real stories of franchise owners, the risks they took, the lessons they learned, and the successes they built. Join us as we sit down with franchisees, their franchisors, and industry experts to discuss emerging trends, cutting-edge technologies, and operational strategies shaping the future of franchising. Whether you're thinking about buying your first or next franchise, this podcast is your inside track to franchise success in Canada. Today on Franchise Canada Chats, we're talking with Jesse Pooney, a multi-unit franchisee who owns 4 locations of Tommy Gunn's Original Barbershop. Jesse has been in the salon industry since 2013 when he answered a position for a district manager's position at Chatter's Hair Salons, to which his wife asked, "What do you know about hair?" He clearly learned a lot because by 2019, Jesse moved from managing corporate stores to buying a Tommy Gunn's franchise and was then offered ownership in 2 additional corporate stores. He now owns 4 shops in BC's Lower Mainland, all of which boast high record sales, one placing in the top 3 of Tommy Gunn's locations across Canada. I'm so excited to hear about your story, Jesse, so let's cut right to it. Welcome to Franchise Canada Chats.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's our absolute pleasure. So I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'd love to get into your background before you got into franchising. It sounds like you have been in the hair industry for well over a decade, but that was a big turning point in your career. Can you tell me a little bit about what made you dive into the hair industry in particular?
I was working as a store manager at Cal Tire and I saw this posting for a district manager. I'm like, this would be a great career opportunity. And when I told my wife, I'm like, hey, Chatters, like, what is that, a hair salon? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what do you know about hair? I'm like, nothing, but I know people. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to learn about this industry, which is massive. And I applied and luckily, I was able to secure the position of district manager.
And when you were working as a district manager at Chatters and had some familiarity with the Tommy Guns brand, what did you learn at your during your time as a manager? And was that good preparation for eventual business ownership?
Yeah, definitely. I remember the first location opened 2014 in Abbotsford, and I called my manager. I'm like, oh my God, there's a barbershop opening beside Chatters. They're like, Jesse, relax. It's all part of the same family. I was like, okay. And they're like, oh, by the way, you're going to be their district manager. I was like, okay. So I got to go in, learn about it as the store opened. I'm like, this is a great concept. It's like a man cave, a getaway for men to go get a great experience.
I love that. And I think that that really sets the Tommy Guns brand apart. So prior to, tell us a little bit about your kind of journey of how did you go from working as a district manager to then fast forward becoming a business owner and becoming a franchisee? What did that journey look like from kind of employment to ownership?
I was a district manager, then I got promoted to the director of operations for Western Canada. I had my son. There's a lot of traveling involved. I'm like, I need something more local to stay home because I didn't want to miss out as my son was getting growing up. So it's funny enough, on my last day at Chatters, I got a call from one of the managing directors at Tommy Guns going, Jesse, I hear it's your last day. I'm like, how do you know? He's like, I would love for you to become a franchisee. I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. But I'm like, that'd be a great opportunity to get in with a brand that was, I saw it develop in 2014 and it was growing at that time and men's grooming was becoming so big. So I went and talked it over with my wife. And we decided, you know what, this is, yeah, this is a great opportunity, especially when the managing director is reaching out to me to be a franchisee.
Definitely. I mean, that talk about them seeing the talent and not wanting you to leave. So now they recruited you back in the franchise owner position and to ascend to ownership. So I think that that's really exciting. So when you were presented with that opportunity, did you then kind of explore any other franchise brands, or did you kind of just then zero in on Tommy Guns and kind of continue the process with them? Like when they presented it to you, did that open up your research process, or did that kind of further validate you wanted to stay with this brand and take the next steps with them?
For me, it was okay. Now I have they want me to have this great opportunity. I'm like, I need partners to do it with. Because I
Mm.
was like, to do it by myself, I'm like, yes, I know the operations end, but I need a strong partner with me who knows the barbering end. So I reached out to my network that I had, and I partnered up with a gentleman who actually was a barber as well. So I said, I'll take care of the front, you take care of the back. So that was a great team that we established to get going with the first location.
I love that. And you had a really unique experience, I would say, because you took over corporate stores at the beginning. Your first three stores, if I'm not mistaken, were all corporate stores that they converted to franchise owned locations. And so, how was that different for you, or how was that? Let's talk about like the good and the not so good of just that taking over an existing location, which means you don't have to do the build out, but maybe that comes with other unique challenges that you had to overcome. Tell me a little bit about that.
Definitely. So I knew the South Surrey location well, and I knew, going into a corporate location that it had a baseline of sales, and I trusted myself and my partner. I'm like, we can only go up from here, my friend. So that gave us a baseline. But the bad also comes with like, if I go look at Google reviews or anything like that, it's like, okay, now how are we going to let the our neighborhood know that hey, it's new owners, we're going to have new barbers, we're going to have a better experience that they've had before if they had a poor one. So that was the next thing we focused on the marketing and being present. I took time off from my existing job and just was present there, greeting every guest, letting them know we're new, let their friends know. So just being present and letting them know that, hey, and checking in with every experience, how was everything today? So just being very present with the business.
I love that. It's like you had to campaign basically to let the locals and the neighborhood and the community know this is new owners. And so if there was folks who loved Tommy Guns, you needed to assure them like you're going to continue to love us. And then if there was folks who didn't have a good experience, and you wanted the opportunity to correct that and to really give them a new experience under your new ownership. Your fourth location, though, you built that location.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the difference between the first three that you took over and convert and that were conversions versus the fourth one that you had the whole build out experience. And what was like the pros and cons, I guess, of like now that you've had both perspectives.
Yeah, so going into the new location, I foolishly assumed like, you know what, we crushed it with the other takeovers. We're gonna come out of here, we're gonna be so busy, but then it isn't because you have to do a lot of local area marketing. People have to know there's a fourth location, a close location that's even closer to them where they're driving all the way to the mall location. So that's been taking time, but I've seen growth month over month. We're heading the right direction. Hiring as well was a little bit challenging because once again, um, can we stop? I don't like that
Yeah, 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 yeah.
answer.
No, no problem. Do you want me to repeat the question, or do you want to just start?
Yeah, if you don't mind just repeating the question, yeah.
No problem. So now you've gone from, okay, let me repeat that too. So now you have both sides of the experience, because your first three locations were conversions, and your fourth location, which was location number 100, congratulations, by the way, was a complete build out. So, kind of let's talk about the experience sitting on both sides and like pros and cons of the conversions versus the one that you've built out now from scratch. And what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, with the new location, I foolishly assumed that, you know what, the first three that we took over were so successful that this is gonna just come out firing hot. But it takes time, and that's one thing I realized I gotta be patient. We are seeing growth month over month, so just investing that once again, being present in the local area, letting them know that you don't have to drive all the way to the mall. We're closer to you. Come see us. We're the same owners as the other locations, and we're going to have the same amazing experience. So that was the one thing where I thought that we'd come out having like, 50,000, 100,000 sales a month, but we're getting there.
I love that. What kind of support systems have you really leaned on with this fourth location, the new location, that you may not have necessarily needed to lean on as much from the franchisor side? in opening this fourth one, whether that's related to marketing, whether that's related to ops? Like, where have you really seen the strength of your relationship with the franchisor in opening this brand new location? Because as you said, the market doesn't know you exist. And so you really need to do that grassroots efforts and let the community know there's a brand new business here and we're open for business.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely the marketing aspect, as you mentioned. Building partnerships with, like, with a gym that's in there, like Good Life Fitness is there, and just marketing other strategies that they have that have worked well in other markets, leaning on them for that. Because operationally, my other two partners were actually managers at other locations. So operationally, we were solid, and we were able to recruit as well and shift some people that we had from our existing locations to the new location. But marketing is where we really relied on heavily, and our support team was amazing to help support us with Facebook ads, Instagram, and even within the local area as well.
So would you say that for location number four, did you go through onboarding kind of again for the fourth location, or did you have a different onboarding experience? Because now you're talking about the build out, which you didn't have to do for the first three. How was that from the time you signed the agreement for the fourth location? How did it differ from your experience for the other three?
Yeah, it was great because the franchisor, and as we're building it out, they were asking for my input as well. Hey, Jesse, we're trying to get 8 chairs. I'm like, can we get 10? And then the way the layout was, I was able to get 9. So just being valued enough that where they're asking for my input as they're building it out, going, Jesse, what do you think about this? This is how big our retail space is going to be. So yeah, just having that input. But yeah, then there's always construction delays. I'm like, come on, I want to get open here. But just experiencing that end of it, of the delays, and just, yeah, putting out job posting ads, which they did, and going back to the interviewing aspect of it as well. But I was lucky enough to leverage existing people in my business that I could promote them to a manager of the new location, to have those, people that I trust leading at that location as well.
I'm going to talk more about multi-unit ownership because I think that it's such a powerful thing to be a multi-unit owner. I think that that's really where you can start to leverage the economies of scale that you start to build in the business. And one of the things you just mentioned was like being able to take team members, especially when your locations are close enough, and you can kind of grow from within and promote from within. And you have that trust that you've built. So I think that that's really powerful. We're going to come back to that in just a second, but I wanted to ask because this can be a question that is on many listeners' minds, which is about capital and the capital to invest into a business to get started. And so I always like to ask the question of what was your journey in gathering the capital to invest into the business to get started? Because there are many different pathways. It could come from savings, it could come from a loan, it could come from help from a family member. What was your pathway that you kind of exercised to help yourself invest in the business for the first time?
For the very first location, it was honestly going to dad, going, Dad, this is a great opportunity. He's like, are you sure, son? I'm like, yes, and he's seen me grow my career as I moved along the pathway as well. He's like, okay, I trust you, and here you go. And I was like, thank you. And that even makes me want to work even harder to ensure and make him even more proud that this initial investment that we did, now we're at 4 locations. So it makes him even more proud of, the ability of him, trusting me.
Definitely, definitely. And has he been kind of a help all throughout all the locations, or did he help fund your first one and then kind of you've been injected into the second and third and fourth from the first? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so from the first one, we did so well after the year. Then the other 2 corporate locations came, and we used the funds that we had in our first business, and then we went to the bank to get the loan needed as well. So from that initial investment, we propelled to having 4 locations now.
I think that that's incredible.
Mhm.
So you've had a lot of success with your locations, as we had shared. One of them placing in the top three Tommy Guns locations across all of Canada, which is incredible, and many of them top performers. What would you say is kind of some of your operational techniques that you've relied on to make sure that the business runs so well, so that you're able to continue to grow and scale?
Yeah, definitely. I always talk to my team. It's all about the guest experience. It's not about just getting a haircut. Someone comes in, like our manager at the South Surrey location, she knows people by name. I'll be walking around within that complex. Hey, Bob. Hey, Tim. She just knows everybody. So when they're coming in, she welcomes them. We hand them off to our barber, and then we give them a great experience with that amazing scalp massage. I always tell my barbers, the best part of any service is that scalp massage. So please take your time doing that, and then do the amazing cut that you do, and then go back to the front desk, and we offer complimentary beverages as well for on their way out, and we thank them for visiting and come back again. So it's all about that experience.
I love that. And I want to take a moment to just like shout out and highlight Tommy Gunn's unique business model, because you have this like convenient yet upscale experience for men's barbering. I'd love to hear from you what you think makes Tommy Gunn so unique.
What unique is honestly the franchisor supporting us to get deliver on that experience. It's not where you're just going to go in, check in on an iPad, go get a haircut, have a good day. It's all like we make it about the experience, about the guest to have that 30 minutes so they can forget about the outside noise and enjoy a good, not just a haircut, like I said, the experience with the scalp massage, hot towel finish, or if they're getting a shave, just relax and get away from, the real world.
I think that that is, it sounds like a really incredible experience and one that like you'd want to think about, treating if you're like a dad, like, go there for, your haircuts and your shaves, or if you want to go with your son, or if you want to treat your, the male in your life to something really nice. It sounds like it is a wonderful experience. Like I can kind of relate it to the women's side, but I don't think there's as many options for the men's side. And like relaxation is part of the experience. So I think that that's great that the scalp massage is part of it, and it's like a core thing, a core, aspect of the service that your clients come to expect from Tommy Gunn's experience. It sets you apart. So I think that's great. Um, I'd love to hear about just your relationship now that the brand continues to grow. You're at over 100 locations. What's your experience like with and relationship like with the other franchisees in your system?
Yeah, no, I have a great relationship with the local franchisees that we do have. We try to brainstorm how can we do some local area marketing which will benefit all of our stores together. Even when new shops open up, I always tell head office to give my phone number to them so I can share whatever best practices I can. We have an annual conference where all the franchisees get together so we can share ideas and celebrate successes. So it's a little family. It's a great little family that you become a part of, and it's great.
Did you expect that when you joined as a franchisee or franchisee number one? The relationships that you've built with other franchisees in the system, did you expect that that was kind of there was this community that was going to be built into it, or was that just a pleasant, you know, surprise of the franchise business model?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a pleasant surprise. At first, I thought maybe it's going to be like, hey, the new kid on the block, this is my store, but we're all working together. If someone comes from one store to the other, we ensure that we welcome them and they have a great experience. And we just share best practices with each other so we can just become stronger. So, and everyone's willing to learn and grow each other. So, like I said, it's just a nice knit family.
I love that. Um, And from your own perspective and experience, what would you say is one of your favorite parts about being a franchisee in the Tommy Gunn system?
My favorite is the team that we've built, that we have. You get to help so many people out, with their families. You see their families grow. You become friends. I've got to go play. I play with my Filipino barbers. They have a league now. I haven't played basketball. I don't know in how many years now. We just won the championship of our league, so it's so fun to start playing basketball with them. You go to their birthday parties. You just become a big family, and I love that. I come from a big family. I have four sisters. So just having all these other family members, I call them now, is amazing, and that's the best part.
I think that that is incredible, and it's even though we have the pleasure of talking with so many franchisees and hearing their stories, what I start to see is a lot of themes, and this is a common theme that those who are in the system become part of your life in a deeper way, because of the kind of, you're operating the same business, virtually the same exact business, just in different locations, and so there's so much commonality, so much similarity. You can lean on your corporate office HQ for support, but you can also lean on the franchisees who have that experience of what you're experiencing as well. So I think that that is incredible, because I always say this: entrepreneurship is lonely. I mean, and I think that's what makes franchising so incredible, is that it has built-in support systems, so that while it's not going to be, you're going to buy the franchise and you're going to just set it and forget it. It's far from that. And I think, business ownership in general it requires hard work, but you get the benefit of having those other franchisees and that you can lean on. So I think that's incredible. And it's incredible to hear how you have deepened the relationship. So you're playing on leagues together, you're going to birthdays, celebrating major milestones. I think that that's such an exciting part of being in a great system. So I promised I was going to come back to multi-unit ownership, because there is, first, it's taking the leap to your first location. And then once you get into your first location, then it's a matter of what are your growth goals, and multiple, and pretty quickly, I think, because of your sales performance from 1 to 3, you were offered the other two corporate conversions. How has life changed for you? And what's the difference in your role that has gone from being a single unit owner to then your first multi-unit, your store number 2, to now you've got 4 stores? Like, how has your role changed as you've expanded the number of locations you have?
Big key for me is having my partners so that we can divvy up each locations to make us successful. So if I was by myself, I think I'd be stretched really thin. But having the partners that I do and the support, and then leveraging our strong leaders from our existing stores, like you said, promoting them to become managers, they have the new locations, it has really helped and supported me. Even, the success of our first store, then taking over the 2 stores in 2020. We took over in February. What happened in March? COVID. And I was just looking and I'm like, God, what kind of test are you putting me through right now? Because we were closed. So we had them for a month. March we closed, and we didn't close till May long weekend. And we reopened, and then we slowly had to go with the dividers and the spacing. So that was a very, very scary part. But I'm like, if I can survive this, I can handle anything. And coming out of COVID became even stronger as well. So, but the key is just having that partnership and not trying to do everything myself. And we all leverage and we take care of each shop so that we can continue our success.
What do you think makes for a great partnership? Like, what are some of the key criteria, or the key parts to what goes into making a successful partnership in your experience?
In my experience, it's all playing to our strengths. So with the one partner's great at barbering, he takes care of that end. I take more of the accounting end, behind the scenes, the marketing, and then the other partner is great at operations. So then she does more of the trainings and sets the guest experience that we want at each of our locations. So we all play to our strengths and we trust each other so that we continue to grow and be successful.
I love that. And I agree 100% that you have to have partners who can support and also have different strengths potentially. There can be overlap, but you have to, I think, as a partnership team, be able to kind of cover all the important bases. And so if one person is the front of the house, the other person is the back of the house, you can't have two people front of the house and nobody's taking care of the back of the house. So that 100% makes sense. And what are potentially, like, I don't know if there was any experience you had in trying to find the right partners, where you went down the path and then maybe decided not to go into a partnership with a particular individual, or groups of people. Did you have any kinds of experiences like that at all in your trying to find partners?
lucky for me, just coming from the Chatters world, I had built strong relationships over the 5 years there. Then I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this franchise, who do I want to, who will complement me, like we said, with the different strengths. So then I was able to luckily have that already in my back pocket. Like, okay, this person will make a great partner. We've become over friends over the 5 years at Chatters, so let's work together now. So I was lucky in that way.
I love that. You talked a little bit about COVID, the pandemic, and that just being a really difficult time, of course. But you bounced back with record sales. Um, I'd love to hear any other challenges that you have experienced because I think that business ownership, as amazing as it also comes with challenges. So I'd love to just hear from your perspective if there are any other challenges aside from, of course, an un an unplanned pandemic that you have experienced in these last so many years of being a business owner, and how have you faced those challenges?
Yeah, I would say like finding the right barbers can definitely be a challenge. Once again, lucky for me, I had a good rapport with Chatter's people. So when Chatter's people heard that, hey, Jesse is a franchisee, I want to come work with Jesse, right? So they
Mm.
wanted to join my team, which really helped. However, that I learned about was the LMIA, which is the Foreigner Worker Program. Right. So I really had to learn about that, how that works. And so I was able to, it's an extra expense, but it's worth that expense to have these people join our team to deliver on that great experience. Now, currently, the government is changing that foreign worker program again, which is going to make it even harder for us, for the barbers, to keep people here in Canada. But we're doing our best to make that happen. But finding the right barbers is definitely the biggest challenge. And now the government is just making it more difficult on us.
It's super interesting, that approach as well. And I think different, honestly, from a lot of conversations that we've had. But I think super smart as well, to be honest with you, because when you can't find the talent here locally or it's difficult to come by, but there is like a wealth of talent overseas if you bring them over. Um, and I think you touched on something that in any business, when there are changes at the government level that we can't really control, it kind of forces us to figure out what's next or like how are we going to pivot our strategy. So it sounds like you're kind of right in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, definitely. Like even my partner is thinking like, Jesse, should we open up a school? Right? Because a lot of hair schools these days, they don't really focus on barbering. It's more about the coloring and the ladies' cuts. So that's something that we're honestly considering with the government, the changes they've made is like, why don't we open up our own school? That way we can promise these apprentice barbers a location to work at as well, which a lot of schools can't do that.
I think that that's such a unique idea, and I'd love to see if you bring that to fruition. But I was just on a side note, like I was driving yesterday, and it was 9:30 at night, and I drove past a plaza, and all of it was closed except this one store, one shop, barber shop, and I could see about just from outside looking in, I could see about seven guys, and they were all getting shaves and stuff like that. I was like, oh, this is a very interesting, Sunday night experience that they're going through. But I think that there's a tremendous opportunity because the on the men's side, there isn't as many, like Tommy Guns is unique, and there isn't as many barbershops focused and dedicated on bringing such a world class experience. So it lends itself to education very nicely, I think. So I'd love to ask from a lifestyle perspective, now that you have four locations, um, what has franchising allowed for you and your family, just from maybe things that you could or could not do when you were more in the corporate position to now being a business owner? What has this franchising pathway allowed for you in terms of like your life?
Definitely get to spend more time with my little ones. I have two now. My son's going to high school next year. I can't believe that. He's turning 13 this year, and my daughter's turning 8. So being able to drop them off at school, pick them up, any recitals that they have, or any like my daughter's going to go to the zoo here on Friday. She's like, Dad, can you please come? Promise me you're going to come. I'm like, okay, I will be there. So allows me to spend time with my family and not miss those moments, which are priceless in my books.
I 100% agree. And again, another common theme, I would say that, well, let me ask you, Would you agree that at the beginning, you have to work hard, but then when you do that, it allows you to have this kind of flexibility? Or did you experience flexibility from day one?
No, I definitely had to work hard, especially taking it over, like we talked about, letting people know about the experience, leading by example, so my team sees me. So when I expect them to do it, it's not like, hey, Jesse, but you don't do that. I'll go open doors for guests as they come in, or you can see it, or open it on the way out, so that my team sees me do it and lead by example. So once I trust them, and then I can go on to say, was able to open, the other two locations as well and go with those. So you have to be present to show and lead your team. But once you have that trust, then you can take a little bit step back.
Yes, for sure. What now being in the franchisee seat and being seasoned, what advice would you give to a prospective franchisee who is just kind of starting the process of exploring franchising, trying to determine if this is the right pathway for themselves, exploring brands, not necessarily certain of which brand or maybe more certain, but what advice would you give to, let's say you're talking to a friend who's considering potentially becoming a franchisee? What would that be from your side?
For me, it'd be like definitely do your homework on the franchisor, right? Have a look at them. What is their support system? What is, talk to other franchisees within that franchise in that network to see how their experience is. And then what is the trend of the business? Like for me, haircuts, someone's always going to need a haircut, regardless. Even if when we had the pandemic, I remember I did my first root touch ever on my wife, and I'm still alive, so I passed. And I did my son's haircut during the pandemic. So everyone's always going to need a haircut too. So look at the business that you're looking at. And then two, if you can find that partner, I think if you want to have multiple locations, definitely look for the partner as well. And so you can have that from the beginning.
I love that. And in your partnership journey, have you grown with the same partners or have you grown with different partners?
Yeah, so the first three locations are the same partners, and now the 100th location, the fourth location that I opened, is actually with two new partners that were store managers. So it gave them that growth as well to become business owners as well, and it makes me proud for them to, they take the lead, and I can, support them and give them my best practices that we've done together behind the scenes, so they learn about how to do payroll, how to push it through on the back end, what reports to look at. So it helps me grow them. Like they're like my sisters, these two young ladies. So it's awesome to grow with them as well. Give them an opportunity to become franchisees.
That's incredible. What do you see for your future, Jesse? Like, what's your next 5 year growth goal with Tommy Guns? Where do you want to see yourself in 5 years from now?
So I'm still hoping for one more location, even though my wife's gonna think I'm crazy. So I like to get to that five location, and then it's that my son's getting older, just about getting him and my daughter involved into the business, be it starting from sweeping, right? They'll have to earn it, but I want them to learn the business so that one day, I'm working this hard for them, so then they'll have it to take it forward. So that's my goal in 5 years, at least one more location, and then let's go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're thinking about location number five, do you keep your eyes and ears open for potential resell opportunities of like, let's say a franchisee who might be exiting the system, or are you thinking of just a build out of a brand new location like you did with location number four?
Yeah, honestly, both. Because if there's a franchisee that wants to exit out because they're ready to retire, I definitely hoping that I'd be the first call, especially if it's in the Lower Mainland. But there, yeah, even in the Lower Mainland, there's a market here in Coquitlam that was the original location we wanted to become a franchisee before we took over this location. So we're still waiting to find that sweet spot location that head office is going to find for us, which is great. That's another thing that they do. They always do their market research and going, Jesse, this would be a good place, not this place. So I'm waiting for that Coquitlam location to open.
Definitely. And we've heard it location, 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 like not compromising on the location is
Mhm.
really important. And I think having your franchisor who is going to be going out there and helping you to find that right location because they have so much data is another kind of tick on the franchising column because in independent business ownership, you have to go do that by yourself and you don't have that support. So I think that's great. And I'm excited to kind of see and continue to follow along with your journey. Well, Jesse, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and hearing about your story. I just have one more question, if I may ask, which is this. What's one truth about franchising that you know now that you didn't know when you first stepped into kind of pursuing and becoming franchisee number one with Tommy Guns?
The biggest thing for me is how many barbers' lives I can truly impact. It's been so rewarding for me to see, they're away from their family, and then his wife comes, and I'm there at the airport with them, and you just see, how hard he's worked so that she can be here. Then their kids come, and like you said, celebrate birthdays and milestones together. It's been really rewarding. And the second one that I really didn't know was amount of write-offs you can have as a franchisee. I learned about that. I'd had no clue of how, you can really write off a lot of things that can also help you as well.
I love it. And I think these are all incredible, incredible parts of business ownership to share. Well, thank you so very much, Jesse. It's been a pleasure talking with you and hearing about your story, your growth. And I can't wait to continue to follow along and see how you get to that location number 5. It would not surprise me if in 5 years that 5 number actually increases, because I think you have a very ambitious mindset.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was great chatting with you today.
Thanks for listening to Franchise Canada Chats. I'm Renee Budakian with Rubicon Franchise Partners, and this podcast is produced by Joelle Kidd with the Canadian Franchise Association. Missed an episode? You can find Franchise Canada Chats on Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. For expert insights, success stories, and franchise opportunities, visit franchisecanada.online. And while you're there, subscribe to Franchise Canada e-News, a trusted resource for aspiring franchisees looking to achieve their dreams and build their franchise future. If you're exploring franchise ownership, check out lookforafranchise.ca or learn more about franchising at cfa.ca. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.